This video will provide you with an overview of the reporting requirements for Schedules D and E, identification of remotely performed sales and purchases of selected services on the 2017 Benchmark Survey of Transactions in Selected Services and Intellectual Property with Foreign Persons, Form BE-120. In this video, we will cover the following. Which service categories are covered on Schedules D and E? Understanding how services are performed remotely. How to determine the percentage of the U.S. reporter sales or purchases of services that are performed remotely. And lastly, instructions on completing Schedules D and E. For the first time, the BE-120 survey is requesting information on how some services are performed for or by foreign persons. This information is important for understanding how services are traded in order to provide a better understanding of industry trends and economic activity, which can help inform trade negotiations and trade policy. This information request is limited to BE-120 respondents who report either sales or purchases of the following types of services: accounting, auditing, and bookkeeping services, advertising services, other computer services, education services, architectural services, engineering services, surveying, cartography, certification, and technical services, legal services, market research services, public opinion polling services, other management, consulting, and public relations services, provision of customized and non-customized research and development services, and other research and development services. Survey respondents who report sales of these services on Schedule A are also required to complete Schedule D. Respondents who report purchases of these services on Schedule B are also required to complete Schedule E. If you do not report sales and/or purchases of any of these types of services, you are not required to complete Schedules D and/or E, respectively. Schedule D requests that respondents provide an approximate percentage of their sales of those specified services that were performed remotely via internet, email, text, telephone, or other means. Schedule E requests that respondents provide an approximate percentage of their purchases of those specified services that were purchased remotely via internet, email, text, telephone, or other means. In order to provide the information requested on Schedules D and E, it is first necessary to understand that transactions between U.S. and foreign persons can be performed in three ways: on-site, in the country of the purchaser, on-site in the country of the seller, or remotely. The first way which transactions take place is when the seller travels abroad to provide services to the purchaser. For example, a U.S. accounting firm may send one of its domestic employees to Berlin to perform an audit for a German client. The U.S. employee performs her duties on-site in the country of the purchaser and returns to the United States when her audit is completed. The second way transactions between a U.S. and foreign person can take place is when the purchaser travels abroad to receive services from the seller. For example, a French client of a U.S. law firm may travel to the United States to receive legal advice. The third way services transactions can take place is remotely, wherein both the provider and the purchaser of a service are in different countries, and the services are performed for the purchaser via the internet, email, telephone, video conferencing, or other similar means. For example, a U.S. person may purchase computer services from a Spanish IT company. The Spanish company performs software design, maintenance, and support services via the internet and telephone. Its employees do not travel to the United States to provide these services, nor does the U.S. person travel to Spain to receive these services. Services performed remotely are the focus of Schedules D and E of the survey. and the purpose of those schedules is to ascertain what percentage of the services listed are performed remotely, as shown in this graphic. In many cases, transactions between U.S. and foreign persons are performed through some combination of the three ways discussed. Let's go back and expand on the first example, where a U.S. accounting firm sent one of its employees to Berlin to perform auditing services on-site for a German client. Let's assume that the total sales related to this project were $10,000, and half of that amount, or $5,000, was for work performed on-site in Berlin. Upon returning to the United States, the U.S. employee then billed the client another $4,000 for the preparation of financial reports and correspondence via telephone, email, and video conferencing. The remaining $1,000 were for presenting their findings to the client when he traveled to the United States a short time later. To summarize, out of $10,000 of sales of accounting and bookkeeping services to their German client, $5,000, or 50%, was for work performed on-site in the country of the purchaser. $4,000, or 40%, was for services provided remotely, and $1,000, or 10%, was for work performed for the purchaser when he or she traveled to the United States. If this company were a BE-120 respondent completing Schedule D, they would indicate the 40% of the services they provided were performed remotely via internet, email, text, telephone, or other means. We now have all the information required to complete Schedule D for this U.S. reporter. First, locate the row for accounting, auditing, and bookkeeping services from the leftmost column of the table, and check the box indicating you reported accounting services on Schedule A. Next, locate the column at the top of the table that corresponds with 40%, the percentage of sales attributed to work performed remotely by the U.S. reporter. Check the box where the row and column intersect. Lastly, indicate in one of the two rightmost columns whether the information provided is based on the U.S. reporter's accounting records or on recall or general knowledge of the company's operations. In the case of a U.S. reporter's purchases of services provided remotely by foreign persons, which are reportable on Schedule E, let us return to the example of the U.S. company who purchases computer services from a Spanish IT company. In this scenario, 100% of the services provided by the foreign seller are provided remotely. Completing Schedule E for this example is the same as previously shown for Schedule D. First, locate the row for Other Computer Services from the leftmost column of the table and check the box indicating you reported other computer services on Schedule B. Next, locate the column at the top of the table that corresponds with 100% of purchases attributed to work performed remotely by the foreign seller. Check the box where the row and column intersect. Lastly, indicate whether the information provided is based on the U.S. reporter's accounting records or on recall or general knowledge of the company's operations. In the examples we just discussed, total sales and purchases were the metrics used to measure the portion of services that were performed remotely. If such information is not available in company records, however, respondents may use another metric, such as hours worked or total resources required to perform the services. If the information required to complete Schedules D and E is not available in company records, estimates may be provided based on recall or a general understanding of the U.S. reporter's business operations. If you have any questions about completing the BE-120 survey, you may contact us at 301-278-9303 or email us at be120help@bea.gov. For additional information on the BE-120 survey, such as answers to frequently asked questions or blank survey forms, please go to www.bea.gov/BE120. To to file using our e-file system, visit bea.gov/efile. This concludes our video on the 2017 BE120 Survey Schedules D&E, Identification of Remotely Performed Sales and Purchases of Selected Services.